invocation and pledge of allegiance, please.
Since Mr. Miller is not here, I'll take over his honors for the day. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for bringing us together for this meeting today. Please help each of us to work closely together to bring all of the city's business out in a way that is pleasing to you. Dear Lord, let everyone here feel comfortable to express their opinions. Let everyone be blessed to be here today, and each family in Lynn Haven and all the surrounding areas that are still suffering from whatever has not been fixed yet in their lives, if it's their house, if it's just financial worries, if it's insurance, whatever it is that's on everyone's mind and hearts today, Lord, just lift those burdens, and please give our community every blessing that we all know that we are able to receive from you each day. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Join me in the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated.
I wanted to start today with a presentation to Mr. Joe Littleton, and so if he would just come forward at this time. Oh, he's running late. I'm sorry. I'll come back to him. I had promised to do it at the beginning. And so I will move on in the report to the proclamation for Black History Month, which of course is in the month of February. Whereas since 1976, every United States president has officially designated the month of February as National Black History Month to honor and affirm the importance of Black history throughout our American experience. And whereas the United States joins other countries around the world in devoting a month to recognize Black history, including Canada and United Kingdom. And whereas the observance of Black History Month began in 1926, when Harvard-trained historian Carter G. Woodson and Minister Jesse Moreland sponsored the first National Negro History Week, which was celebrated the second week in February. And later in the 1960s, as part of the Civil Rights Movement, the observance evolved into Black History Month. And whereas much of the city of Lynn Haven's honor, strength, and success can be attributed to the diversity of cultures and traditions that are celebrated by the residents of this great city, and whereas African Americans have played significant roles and made lasting contributions to our city's history and the history of Florida's economic, cultural, spiritual, and political development, while working tirelessly to contribute to every aspect of American society, including business, education, politics, science, and the arts. And whereas Black History Month is a time for all Americans to remember the contributions and legacy of those who helped build our nation, fought against prejudice to secure lives of dignity and opportunity for all of our citizens, advanced the cause of civil rights for all Americans, and strengthened our families and communities. Now therefore I, Margot D. Anderson, Mayor, do hereby encourage all residents in the city of Lynn Haven, Florida, to join me in honoring the many contributions made by African Americans to our city, state, and nation, and to participate in the many educational and inspirational events celebrating the month of February as Black History Month. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Lynn Haven, Florida, to be affixed this the 12th day of February 2019. And this is the proclamation. Is there anyone here to receive the proclamation today, or okay, we'll do it maybe at the next meeting. And also that would even be great, because our next meeting we will be, and if you haven't seen the city website, we will be recognizing Black History Month with many of our students having various essays, displays, and drawings, and the theme is Black Migrations, and this is the flyer that the city is using to honor Black History Month, and it is available on our Facebook and on our website. Yeah. At this time, it is my honor to invite Joe Littleton to come forward. Mr. Littleton is the person who donated to us. You can just stand right here and I'll come around and join you. The beautiful oak tree that you see planted in Sheffield Park near the stage. On behalf of the city of Lynn Haven, this key to the city is presented to Joe Littleton by Mayor Margot Anderson. We are privileged on this day, December 17, 2018, which was the day you did that, to commemorate your commitment to beautify and rejuvenate the city of Lynn Haven through the planting of the first tree post-Hurricane Michael. Your contribution will help provide much-needed shade for generations to come
thank you for planting this tree of hope for our continued recovery.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm sure that he probably would not want me to say this, but a tree that size in the park is many thousands of dollars. So thank you for your generosity.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I just wish I knew how to transport the red cardinal who continues to live in my garage over to your tree. A couple of orders of business. The first one is because of the storm, we did not have the first meeting in October of 2018, and so we were unable to approve our September 25th minutes from the long ago, September 25th, 2018. And as a matter of the city audit, we need to have those minutes approved. And so if I could ask for a motion to approve those minutes from the commission.
So moved. Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the minutes from September 25th, 2018. Are there any questions, discussion, corrections, etc. for that from the board? Any discussion, objections, additions from the public? Thank you. Mr. White, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Russell,
Yes.
Commissioner Friend,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes,
Aye.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes, so the minutes do stand approved. That takes care of that. The next item from the mayor's report is in November, Bay County established a disaster recovery task force, and they had asked for a representative from each commission, each of the city boards. All of the cities basically sent their mayors to this, with the exception of Panama City Beach. And I have been attending those meetings, and then I've also been placed on another committee called the Housing Authority, and trying to help find affordable housing, more housing, additional housing, and solve some of those problems. What I had discussed with the city manager, which he passed on, I think, to some of the other commissioners, is that this is not a criticism of what's happening, but it has become a meeting to meet and go to another meeting and more committees, and I simply do not have time to attend all of them with other things that I am doing as mayor. And so I've asked if there's someone else on the commission who will be willing to do this. The city manager told me that Commissioner Russell had expressed some willingness, and if there's any other commissioner who has interest in it, there's certainly an open time to discuss that at this point. So I just wanted to open that up for discussion, or if no one else is interested, would someone be willing to make a motion for Commissioner Russell to take my place to do that? So I'm opening it for discussion at this point.
I make a motion that Commissioner Russell take that position.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Anyone else who would like to do it? Okay, any discussion from the public? And by the way, those meetings are open to the public. You're allowed to attend as well. Then Mr. White, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Friend,
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes,
Aye.
Commissioner Russell,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes. And Commissioner Russell, that first meeting will take place on the 14th. So enjoy. Thank you. Moving on. I met with the Triumph Board for the BP oil spill we've all been following for years. I met and attended that meeting and also spoke on behalf of Lynn Haven on Friday, February the 8th at 9:30 a.m. at the Bay County Government Center. I spoke to them in support of Jimmy Petronis, our CFO, for our Chief Financial Officer for the state of Florida, who had asked that the Triumph Board consider making bridge loans to cities to help them to get through some of the beginning expenses from the storm, which could be paid back. I took it a step further and asked that they not make these loans, that they make them grants, because these are the counties which have been affected by not only the oil spill but now by the storm. I also asked that they reconsider our application for $15 million for improvements to our sports complex, our baseball fields, which was previously denied. They had graded it a C as far as its impact on the economy, and I pointed out to them again that we are the biggest or the largest Dizzy Dean baseball organization in the state of Florida, that not only did our fields need to be expanded before, now they're completely destroyed, and that baseball indeed does affect the economy. It brings people into our city. It keeps people in our city. It makes our lives more enjoyable, and if you've lived in Lynn Haven most of your life, you know that we are baseball. And so that's what I did at that meeting. Also on February the 8th, and I do have a huge thank you for this, I did qualify as mayor for the second term, and at 12 o'clock noon that was unopposed, and so I will be with you for 4 more years, so I do appreciate that, and I look forward to serving. Thank you. I attended the Bay County TPO meeting on Wednesday, February the 6th at 3:30. Spoke at a Law Enforcement Appreciation Day at the Seventh-day Adventist Church, along with all of our Lynn Haven police officers and as well as Chief Reamer. And that was a very enjoyable service. We had a great time, and it was wonderful to see the church honor law enforcement officers here in Lynn Haven. I spoke for the Beach Chamber of Commerce when they came to Lynn Haven for their Ideas Symposium at our own St. Andrews Center, now known as the ARC, on January the 30th. I attended the Affordable Housing Committee meeting at 80 Harris Village on January the 30th at 3 p.m. for the Bay County Emergency Task Force branch meeting. I spent several days at City Hall just continuing to work on catching up after the storm with correspondence and emails and that kind of thing. And I spent a great deal of time out and about looking at debris and discussing that issue with the city manager. And finally, I am looking seriously. I've already written a letter. I plan to follow it up to our Florida Highway Patrol about our traffic speed on Highway 77 and how it has become so excessive with all of the trucks, not only the debris hauling trucks, but the contracting trucks, the pickup trucks, and other cars that I know they're not all visitors to Lynn Haven, but there are a lot of out-of-town tags that I see driving at huge, to use a Trumpism there, huge amounts of speed, large numbers of speed. I would say 65 to 70 miles per hour, and I think it's endangering the lives of our citizens, so that's another concern for me. And that is all that I have to report, and I'll pass on to Commissioner Russell.
Thank you, Mayor. Commonly, my issues have been dealing with contractors and illegal dumping for the last month, or last 2 weeks. And I think this is going to be a recurring theme for the next several months. Dealt with predatory contractors in Baldwin Road that the police department is graciously taking care of, and we think we're going to get that straightened out. Illegal dumping on 8th Street. And I met with a lady yesterday on Texas Avenue that had a contractor do work in her house that's going to be ripped out and redone because he did it without license and he did it without permit, and it's done incorrectly. So that's just going to be a thing we're going to keep dealing with. You know, I mean, so if you're out there talking to people, educate them. You know, make sure they're licensed, make sure they're permitted, make sure they're insured. You know, it's all we can do is educate the public, and hopefully we can keep it from happening to somebody else. That's all I got, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Tender?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I've just been dealing with a couple of issues for a gentleman on Rhode Island, and Mr. Baker said that's going to be taken care of this week. And I've paid a few visits down on Colorado Avenue over the flooding issue there. And I think that's coming around the corner to be fixed too, right?
Yeah, we've already been working on it.
Awesome. Okay. And other than that, contractors, that was my personal nightmare. And I'm proud to say that I'm out from underneath it. You have to really watch out when you sign anything. And I did an assignment of benefits, the biggest mistake I've ever made in my life, and I would tell anybody that. The folks never even showed up. 2 months later, they never showed up. Thank goodness for Facebook. I made one post. The owner called me from Crystal Lake, Illinois, said, "Oh my gosh, somebody sent me your post. What can I do?" I said, "Give me back my $6,300 and release me of everything." And it was done the next day. So you really have to really watch. But anyway, that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Barnes?
I have no report.
Thank you. Commissioner Friend?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, a few things. I attended the NPOAC meeting, and as always, if anybody has any questions or comments, I'm always available if you want to know more about that. Did attend the TPO meeting. The TPO did approve Lynn Haven's application for Safe Way to School, so that's moving forward. And also, I just cannot remember the date, and I'm hoping maybe Mayor, you might remember, but we are going to have, or FDOT's going to have, the public meeting as it relates to 390 from 77 to 231.
I was thinking March 13th.
Yeah, I
hope
know
that's
I'm out of
correct.
town, so it's gotta be that week, and then the location was
The Our Lady of the Rosary.
It's the 12th, I think.
the 12th.
Okay, I could have it wrong. It's at Our Lady of the Rosary Catholic Church
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
231.
And then on the 12th. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. So it's
Thank
March
you, Mr.
12th.
I
It was a day
I
off.
knew you'd know if you didn't know. So I just, for whatever, I knew it was the week and I'm on vacation, but I just couldn't remember the exact date. So great. So that's definitely something that we may want to pay attention to. If you want to go attend that, they'll tell us where we're at in that process. And then the questions I've been getting is, and I know the city manager is going to go over this, is the last date for debris pickup. I think he posted on Facebook as well. And then also illegal dumping as well. And I didn't know, do we have a hotline for that? Is there a special number we want them to call? Because I agree, I think that's going to be an ongoing issue. And I didn't know if there's a better number that the city manager would ask. I hadn't had a chance to ask you this, but.
Just main number,
Okay.
the 2121.
That's fine.
Also our website, our Facebook, because we do have a live chat. We have about 4 people during the day looking at that, and then we're not watching the live chat. It automatically creates a ticket and allows them to let us know.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, sir. All right, that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Friend. And I left out one item on the mayor's report, if I may. I wanted to mention that this Saturday, February the 16th, is our second One Street at a Time event, and we will be on New York Avenue. We'll be meeting right out in front where we just came in here, and we'll go in 2 different directions. We decided we'd do it a little differently this time because last time we were so crowded at one end of the street, so we thought we'd start in the middle and go in 2 different directions, going all the way to the bay, to the south, to the north, and then all the way to 17th Street to the south. You scream, I scream, we all scream for ice cream truck. We'll be here with ice cream to give out during that, and I think we're also going to probably have some kind of lunch served as well. So tell all your friends, come out, and if you know anybody who lives on New York, tell them that their help will be appreciated as well, because we'll be doing all the different streets. So.
Did you say the time?
The time is listed as 7:30 to 4:30, I believe, on Saturday. Yes. Okay, that's all that I have on that. So moving on to the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Been a busy couple weeks. We've been meeting a lot with FEMA, trying to work on the recovery of the city, looking at a lot of different programs they have, the IRC, just trying to see which direction the city really needs to go, and replacing some of our facilities as well as upgrading the facilities. So we're trying to maximize those dollars with insurance money as well. As the mayor mentioned, I also attended the Triumph board meeting. I had a little different approach, but maybe they'll pick at least one of our approaches. My approach is more ad valorem tax. I think one thing you got to look at as far as helping the economy grow, we got to have a stable marketplace. And as next year, as trim notices come out in July, I would suspect most all of them can be dropped. I've actually contacted Bay County property appraiser. City of Lynn Haven right now sitting at right at 10% loss of revenue in ad valorem tax 2018 versus what the 2019 valuations are looking like. So I imagine they probably drop a little bit more as they get further along. I think that's going to be something that would be beneficial to all to help stabilize this marketplace and allow businesses and allow people to remain in Lynn Haven. Also, I want to tout our police department. We got a report out from last year compared to this. For the last year, crime rate in Lynn Haven dropped 54.5%. So that's very good. Also, our drug arrest was up 110%. So they're doing their job. I applaud them. Thank you, Ricky, for that. Also, we've been working a lot on a lot of RFQs, design build contracts to be published. One of the things I'll be bringing next meeting would be the private property debris removal. Been working with an attorney on that, trying to get all that lined up. So there'll be several things hitting the streets, trying to get finished recovery of the city. And lastly is, yes, last night I did make the call. As I mentioned in many posts up till last night, the communication I've had in the public is, this has to come to an end. Just looking at the bill from yesterday and doing some simple math, yesterday cost the city of Lynn Haven about $100,000. So But we hadn't picked up in about 2 weeks. So they had, I think, 123 loads out yesterday. So it's time to come to an end. It's been 4 months. Most people have had the opportunity to get it out. I know some still battling insurance. And insurance, when they pay for it to be removed and disposed of as well. We also have a lot of citizens that can still go to Steel Field. But part of the recovery that I'm tasked with by the commission is, I think, getting the city back up and running like it was. And as long as that continues to be strung out, I think we will have problems further in the summer as we try to get rid of this debris. So the last day that any resident in the city of Lynn Haven can place anything on the curbside is the 17th, which is this Sunday. Starting Monday, the trucks will be in different zones. The city is split up into 12 zones. We use this same zone map when we was pushing the roads, getting everything clear. If you remember, roughly 4 months ago, you couldn't drive on the streets. So we had to come up with a way of clearing the streets and getting it done. We will be doing that. My intent, as I mentioned earlier, is one of these RFQs is put out a price proposal for someone to come back behind all this, this will be a lot of manual labor, raking the sides of the roads, much like we're doing with the mayor's program, 1 street at a time, cleaning out the ditches. I got to get all this ready before the rains come. And that's one of the things I'm very, very scared of, and I know a lot of Lynn Haven residents are as well. So to help with that recovery process and not causing more problems, I had to make a decision. And we're willing to work with people as we go through. There's going to be times that code enforcement is going to be coming by, talking to a lot of people. And we need to know your plans, because when houses are destroyed and nobody can live in them and they're just sitting there, they become a potential hazard, because well as I do what kids like to do, and then also the harboring of mice and things of that nature. Right now, we're battling a rat issue out at the Animal Service Center due to the fact all the debris out there that's been piled up. So, a lot of pests. So we got a lot of things we got to do to cause other issues from not occurring. So I ask all the residents to bear with the city and the city employees as they do their job. But I appreciate your patience with me.
Thank you so much, and I want again to commend the job that you've done since the storm. I want to particularly commend you for your patience with me. I wanted the trash haulers gone January 31st, and we had that argument, and now I've told them I don't want them here in March. I want them gone in February. So we've had some really spirited discussions. He is a very patient man, and he's doing a very good job. So thank you very much. Number 6, the attorney's report.
Mayor, no report at this time. I do apologize for being a couple minutes late, and thank you for your indulgence.
The traffic is horrendous, and there was a wreck, so you're forgiven by everyone.
Thank you.
Item number 7, there is now time for public commentary. Anyone who is here may speak on any topic or any item on this agenda. If you could please limit your comments to 3 minutes if possible. If you have a prepared statement that takes longer than that, we will indulge that. Mrs. Walker.
1106 Michigan Avenue. I was one of those people that took up approximately 40 minutes of Mr. White's time this past week. He was kind enough to meet with me on that question I had at last meeting regarding the budget. He explained his way of doing the accounting. I'm still concerned for the residents when they start the budget at the year. It's explained this amount of money will be spent on this, and this. But there's no actual way at the end of the year to see if that has actually been done, the money spent on what we said was going to be spent on. It might go to something else, and it's not clear in that 4-page outline that you give out to the residents. And I feel that I'm pretty good with my numbers and pretty good digesting this information. And so that's the only thing that concerns me.
Okay.
But Mr. White said that he would speak with me whenever I had questions again, so I may take him up on that order.
Okay.
To make myself feel more comfortable that things are proceeding correctly or justly.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you
you so much. Anyone else? Mr. Schultz?
Thank you, Mayor. Bob Schultz, 509 Pennsylvania Avenue, and also a candidate for seat 1. Question on Highway 77. Are we allowed to put in speed bumps?
Highway 77 is a state road, and we have no, nothing, we can't do that, no.
Can the state do it upon our request?
Since it's now taken them over a year to just consider putting a crossing there for us, I'm gonna say speed bumps might be in the next century, if that, but, yeah.
I got you. Okay, we have, the
I
one-
wasn't trying to be facetious,
No,
but
no.
I really don't see that happening. You can certainly write a letter, we could write a letter, but it's a main highway going through, but I think the 35 mile per hour needs to be observed.
I understand. I was out walking the other day, as I do every morning, and got to thinking about the women's club, what they call it, the garden club. What kind of shape is that in? Is that possible that it could be rehabilitated for a temporary library or a senior center?
They're working on that. I'll let Mr. White tell you what's happening so far.
Okay.
The building took a little damage, mainly roof damage. It's going to have to be replaced, much like all the buildings. As far as the library, we pretty much lost every book in the library, so that's kind of out of the rim. It could be possibly used as a senior center a little later. Right now, we're still working heavily with our insurance company, FEMA, and World Claim, trying to see which direction we need to go.
Okay, I don't know if you know, but if we join the regional system, they'll furnish books and computers and things like that to a point and a degree, so that will save the city. Just something to think about, okay, down the
Yes,
road,
sir.
because we're all trying to save money and whatever. Oh, the license for the tree, some people, whatever, do they need the little blue permit with the city? They do need it?
Yes, sir.
The stump grinders? They
Yes,
need
sir.
it? Okay. Okay, and most of the city businesses on Facebook, but there are some people out there, the older ones, don't deal with Facebook, and I don't know if you put it on the city.
We, for instance, this February 17th deadline has been posted all over Facebook. It's been on our Twitter. It's been on our website. It's been sent to the newspaper. They've already done an article on the 17th. It's been sent to all the TV stations. We've sent out to every media outlet like we do
Okay.
everything else.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Mr. Miller?
Good afternoon, Leon Miller, 1508 Mississippi Avenue. My first question is, where are we on the situation with 17th Street turn St. and 77?
I have not heard anything since the last update on that. And to be honest, I have put all those projects as far as my day-to-day activities on the back burner due to the fact dealing with the debris.
Okay, the other thing is that Commissioner Friend mentioned the meeting that's going to be on March the 12th up on 231. We really need the people from Lynn Haven to be there and make this support about 390 from 77 to 231. We really need the community support there. My last question is, we're talking about contractors. If you get a contractor, somebody to remodel your bathroom, do they have to have a city license and a blue card?
That's correct, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, sir. They need to be licensed. If you have anybody do any contract doing work for you, they need to be licensed, they need to be insured.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Is there anyone else who would like to speak today? Mr. Walker, I'm sorry, I couldn't see.
Rich Walker, 1106 Michigan Avenue. In the previous commission meeting, the city manager mentioned, and I don't know if it was arbitrarily he did it, but the conversation came about a discussion about moving the city complexes to a central location in the center of the city. The decision was made, I don't know, arbitrarily, without anybody else involved by him, that it wasn't going to be done. He didn't think it's feasible. The reason he gave was the cost of the property to acquire the property was too high. Well, our city is growing. It's had a big bump, it's got a bump right now, but it's on its way up. And we are building everything around our city hall with the widening of 389 12th Street. We're going to get a lot more people in this area coming through. We had a problem in 1911 when they first set up the city. We put the schools right in the middle of where the city is going to be. Now the city is around it. The city is around our city hall. City hall has been totaled, the library has been totaled, Chambers has been totaled, senior center has been totaled. Everything, every building we own and we are acquiring have been totaled or in dire need of renovations or rebuilding. This might be a good time to think about moving the city like Bay County did to a central location. A central location with a lot of room for expansion. The schools are given 40 acres, that's not enough. We need expansion. So, we should look at a cost analysis of the buildings that are destroyed, what it's going to cost to replace them, what it's going to cost to enlarge them. I'm going to have to do that right now. In reference to the insurance cost of the money the insurance is going to pay to rebuilding, as I understand it, we have $24 million, supposedly. The cost analysis should be inclusive of the property. If the property is too high, that's fine. We could have gotten the property for nothing. We didn't do it right. We're smart. If you want to find out about that, we're glad to sit with you and tell you how you could have done it. We're going to have both of those widenings of the roads intersecting and cutting our city in half. We do not have parking right now for the citizens of this town at City Hall when there's a function at Sheffield Park. Because of what you're doing now, as you expand, the people are parking on the residential streets, blocking their sidewalk, blocking their driveways, and stopping everything. You don't have parking. It's beneficial to take out a good look at possibly moving this city to the fuel depot. Move it to the 390, 900 acres. Move it to a large central location that's available, cheap, and use the money that you're going to have to do to rebuild this city. I think you strongly should look at this.
I appreciate your comments, Mr. Walker, and I would say to everyone here that over the last 4 months that Mr. White and I'm sure he's done the same thing with the other commissioners as well. I've spent a great deal of time with him just simply because the first 2 months after the storm, it was sort of he and I as far as looking at decisions and finances. We will be holding many public hearings in the coming weeks as we get renditions of the architects, some of the drawings, some of the ideas we've come up with. The city manager and I can't speak for the rest of the commission because we haven't gotten that far to discuss it in a commission board meeting other than what we said last time. City manager and I have discussed at length what we believe the city can afford. We've also talked with a lot of people who are very adamant and very assertive about wanting to keep our city government center where it is. We have looked at cost. I will say that I am in favor of leaving it where it is, but with a lot of changes to it. A lot of property can be acquired around it. We can build up at great cost savings, and that's what I would like to do. That's what a lot of people I've spoken with would like to do. But as we did 4 years ago when we were looking at Sheffield Park and some of the other ideas, we had 3 public hearings with hundreds of people coming to each one to talk, and we'll do the same thing with this. There's not going to be a decision made without the citizens of Lyndhaven having input. So. Anybody else?
Mayor, if I may.
Sure, go ahead.
I too have had several conversations with city manager about this issue and was initially completely against moving City Hall. I felt like it was ripping the city's heart out if we moved it. after several discussions with Michael, he persuaded me to rethink my way of thinking, and I've opened up to the idea of possibly moving City Hall, but completely against the direction he wanted to go. If my vote would be, if we're gonna move City Hall, it either needs to go east or north, because that's the only two growth areas Lynn Haven can go. We are bound south and we're bound west, so there's no more growth going that way. But at the same token, I'm tend to lean toward what the mayor says. I think that we can make our existing building work, our existing location work, and save the cost of buying the dirt. We will have to buy some property around it for parking, but I think if we go vertical, we can get the square footage we need and keep from having to buy extra land. Of course, that's my opinion, and I've served at your pleasure, so I'll be glad to listen to any, suggestions y'all have or any comments you got. So, but yeah, just so you'll know, it has been an open process. I couldn't tell you how many times me and Michael have had this conversation already. So, thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Anyone else in the audience or the board would you like to speak today?
Mayor, if I could.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just add that after the last meeting, I guess, since we touched on it, I did have several people reach out to me, and they did not like the idea of moving it. They wanted us at all costs to stay where it has always been, and of course, I've been meeting with city manager as well. I look forward to the public workshops and see if there's anything out there different, but I just would add that I did get a lot of comments after the last meeting that said, please don't move it, so, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public today? Okay, moving on then to item number 8, which is the consent agenda. I'm sorry, did anyone else from the board want to speak on that topic before I move on? Commissioner Taylor, Commissioner Barnes? No. Item number 8, the minutes to approve from January 22nd, the regular meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any discussion of those minutes from the public? Mr. White, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Friend?
Yes.
Commissioner Russell?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes?
Aye.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes, so the minutes from January 22nd, 2019 stand approved. There is no old business. New business, item number 9, the approval of GAC contractors for RFP HM 2019-001 for the City Hall and Police Department temporary facilities contract. Mr. White, do you have a report on that item?
Yes, ma'am. As you remember, we put this out the first time, lack of bidding. We also, this time got a bid. We also got 2 contractors that said that they could not bid, would not be bidding on this project. So brought everything of this forward to FEMA. They approved it, and I submitted it to you today for approval.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Okay. Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions from the board?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Under the proposal, you had option A and option B. I mean, are we choosing the option, or are we leaving that open for you to choose?
Actually, the way FEMA you have to work with FEMA, you have to do it on a monthly schedule. So we will be going through the monthly schedule. Then, as we get it approved, this is up for up to 2 years of leasing this. And what we'll do is do it every 6 months. Approve that. But essentially today, I would like for you to approve to allow us to go ahead and do the monthly up to the 2 years of what the contract's for. And stay within the binding confines of FEMA and their regulations.
So the motion needs to stipulate that we're agreeing to option B? Is that what I understand?
Just agreeing to the option to move forward with GAC.
Okay.
Any other questions or discussion? Any from the public? Mr. Walker? Go ahead.
From here, could you explain to the public option B and versus what option A was? I don't think they get the particular papers from the city hall or in the newspaper, how much the total monthly rent is for leasing temporary headquarters. Is that the way we read it?
Yes, sir. It is leasing. It's also it's a turnkey package. It includes desks, it includes chairs, it includes everything. And with FEMA, they will not let you sign a 2-year agreement. They only let you sign up to 6 months at a time, much like they're doing with the FEMA trailers. So this is for reimbursement. So this is through there. It's also through our insurance company. We have about $1 million for relocation of services through our insurance. So we'll be utilizing those services as well.
I believe, Brad, yeah, did you have a?
Name is Brad Yunt, 210 Lakeview Terrace. Got an observation. I think the math is incorrect on option B.
Yes, sir. The addition is correct, incorrect.
Okay.
Mayor, if I may?
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, it's just a mathematical error. If you, in actuality, if you would let me, if you do the numbers, the monthly lease is actually the exact same amount as a 2-year lease. But there is an addition error in the numbers. Yes, sir. I've already caught that, and it's got it written down right here. Yes, sir.
And then there's a question. I don't know how many square feet of office space we're talking about.
They vary. One office will have up to 17 offices in it, and the other one will have, I think, 10 offices, spaces in it. As far as square foot, I can't remember off the top of my head. But I'll be glad to find you that number.
Going online to see what the cost of mobile offices was comparing it to the bid there.
Yes, sir.
You know, if it was 8,800 square feet, you know, it might be a good deal.
Mm-hmm.
If it's 3,000 square feet, not so much.
Well, you also got to take into account that the city, we really don't have any desks. We don't have any chairs. We don't have any of that stuff. The IT side, they're going to have to furnish all this stuff. So when you look at that, you know, it does bring the cost way down. I know it does look like a high number, but, you know, we're going to be in these offices for quite a while.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Mrs. Walker?
Janet Walker, 1106 Michigan Avenue. Did I incorrectly hear that something is getting reimbursed? Are we
Yes.
getting reimbursed for this rental?
Yes, ma'am. We have insurance coverage for relocation. So part of this bid was to look at buying these units,
Right.
and then we could turn on resale,
Good.
and some of it was to lease. The option looks better for us to lease, because if I go through FEMA to try to utilize some of their funding as well, I have to take into consideration the money that we would earn from selling these after the fact, and then, you know, disposing of them could be costly as
So are
well.
you seeing it to be just a wash?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Are there other questions or concerns? We've had a motion and a second. Mr. White, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Friend,
Yes.
Commissioner Russell,
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes,
Aye.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes, and so it stands approved. Item number 10 is the approval of Marshall Brothers Construction and Engineering Incorporated for RFP HM 2019-002 for demolition and abatement services contract. Mr. White, do you have a report for that, please?
Yes, ma'am. This is actually for the chambers and police department that's, you know, halfway standing still. There's quite a bit of abatement that has to be done in that building, so this includes that, and also includes demoing the building and any other buildings that the city deem necessary that it needs help with.
Thank you. Is there a motion for the demolition and abatement services contract?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. There's been a motion and a second for approval. Are there any questions from the board concerning this contract? I would just like to say I cannot wait to see that gone. I just can't look at it anymore. Are there any comments from the public? Okay, Mr. White, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Russell,
Yes.
Commissioner Friend,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes,
Aye.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes, it stands approved. Item number 11, the approval of 15 more applicants for the Hurricane Michael Disaster Relief Fund grants. I'll remind you those are grants of $1,000 to these families. And in the commission packet, the names of the families are not there, just simply the addresses. This is part of our trust fund requirements that each time, there's nothing that's really changed except that we just have gotten more money and we're giving more grants. But it's a requirement that the board, which is comprised of the commission members, that we vote each time we disperse funds. And so that's what this is about. So is there a motion?
So moved.
And there's been a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion and a second for the approval of these 15 applicants. Are there any questions or discussion from the board? Any from the public? Mr. White, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Russell,
Yes.
Commissioner Friend,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes,
Aye.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes, and so it stands approved. It's a wonderful news for 15 more families tomorrow to help them with their expenses, so very excited about that. Moving to item number 12, this is for the approval for the city manager to negotiate and purchase the 1117 Ohio Avenue property. Would you please explain that to the public, Mr. White?
Yes, ma'am. As most people know, a lot of our water and sewer operations was held out of the wastewater plant down in Kensaw, in the 5th Street. The facility that a lot of our workers worked out of got destroyed, and a lot of other buildings down there. We've been needing a lot more parking up at the water plant and try to utilize that facility more for the employees as well, put them in a better environment. So this property, I looked at it and we contacted Starling Oil Company, and they're willing to sell the property that connects to ours. I think it'd be very beneficial. My intent would be the city purchase it, knock down the old facility, clean up the corner, and then we could turn this into more of a parking area for the employees and any citizen that may need public utilities assistance.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion for approval and a second. Are there questions from the members of the board?
Just for clarification, this is the property on the corner of the northeast corner of 12th and 77, correct?
Correct.
I have a question else.
Go ahead, Commissioner Tender.
And I just wanted to ask for the public's sake, have we had the property appraised? And is the amount of money they're wanting?
I looked at trying to get it appraised in time before I brought it here. Mr. Starling also has more offers on the property. In turn, I did reach out to a local real estate agent that has very great knowledge of commercial property, and the price that I discussed with him, he said that it would be in the range of what it's worth. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I may.
Go ahead, Commissioner Russell.
Just for qualifications, we all understand, in our packet, it's looking like he's wanting $110,000 for the property, but the property appraiser has it appraised at 109. So I mean, it's right there where it's supposed to be. And everybody knows property appraiser's low.
Thank you for that information, Commissioner Russell. Anyone else? Any questions from the public? Okay, Mrs. Walker?
Mr. White is tired of seeing me up here. Janet Walker, 1106 Michigan Avenue. Are we aware that 12th Street is going from 2-lane to 4-lane, and you'll be losing some of the property that you're purchasing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you're still happy with the price that
Yes, ma'am.
you're paying with less property?
Because the state will be paying us to
The state is going to reimburse for this.
reimburse,
that
yes, ma'am, for what they take.
Mr. Walker?
Rich Walker, following my wife there on that one. She took part of what I was going to say. Yes, the market value is 109. That's the market value. Okay. And it's going to probably be taken over by the state when they widen the road part of it. You're going to lose half of it. You're going to remove it from the tax rolls, commercial property. Therefore, your 10% of loss of that on taxes is going to go to 10.9999, whatever. It seems that it's a small piece of property, and you're probably not going to get 4 lanes on it. You're going to get 4 lanes and a turning lane. So you're going to lose a lot, and its value is not going to be how many cars you're going to put there parking for city employees. Nobody else is going to park there. We're buying a lot of property, taking it off the tax rolls. The ad valorem taxes is going down. We're going to use it for city use. So I don't think you're going to gain much out of this one. Thank you.
I personally just like the idea of that mess being gone off the corner. I think it's going to enhance how it looks there. And also, anytime that the state takes property, they have to pay you for it, and it's generally paid at a higher value than what it is. So I would disagree with what you said, but I value what you said. Is there anyone else who would like to comment? We've had a motion and a second. I'm sorry. Mr. White, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Russell?
Yes.
Commissioner Friend?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes?
Aye.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes, it stands approved. And at this time, I would like to, I know Mrs. Walker, I think you said a moment ago, we're tired of hearing you say something at the microphone. Nobody up here is ever tired of hearing anybody who's a resident of Lynn Haven. We work for you. Everybody's welcome to speak. Everybody's welcome to be here. So thank you for coming in this inclement weather. And the meeting is now adjourned.